CNN projects Donald Trump wins the presidency.
It's the Batshit.
I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words.
Crazy Pants.
It is time to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C.
Super Show.
But we are transferring power from Washington, D.C. and giving it back to you, the people.
Helping you navigate this batshit crazy pants world.
So I got a president who likes me now.
Look at those hands. Are they small hands?
Are you totally deranged?
And now, your bus driver, Matt Stevens.
Crazy, but that's how it goes.
Hello, and welcome to the Batshit Crazy Pants Super Show. I am, of course, your host, Matt Stevens. You can follow me on Twitter at TheMattShow365. You can also do the same on Facebook. It's very exciting. Who doesn't love social media? I don't, but that's all right. And let's be fair, if you had to be able to sing like one person for a day in your life, Ozzy Osbourne would be on that list. It's fantastic. So we got a lot to get to today. It's Friday. I hope you're all having a cocktail somewhere, enjoying a little happy hour. I know my sister probably is. We're going to do a little bit on the Comey hearings, but we're not necessarily going to talk about the hearings. I want to talk about more about the aftermath and the nonsense that's already started. Plus, there is a group already putting attack ads against Comey out into the open, which is kind of hysterical and I don't want to say premature, but it just screams guilt, right? Like, wouldn't you just let him just sort of sink his own boat instead of trying to help that? But you know how they work. We're going to talk a little about the House repealing Dodd-Frank. While we all watched Comey do that, they repealed Dodd-Frank. Because 2008 was a long time ago, and the banks have learned their lessons. It's all on the up and up, guys. They can protect themselves. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Oh, boy. Oh, as always.
Hail Trump!
One more time.
Hail Trump!
Oh, baby. Hail Trump indeed. We're not going to talk about Trump Jr. saying that Democrats aren't people. Because we're going to talk about that on another show. I'm going to do a show next week where I want to talk about language a little bit and the language we use to talk about each other. And I'm just as guilty of it as a lot of people are. That this language that we use is not good and it's divisive and it needs to change. And maybe that'll change with me, but I doubt it because I don't really care. But I do want to talk about it because saying that is very close to some of the things that people have said in history that aren't good. It starts with that. When you stop describing them as people, well, that's where the problems begin. Then, of course, we got to talk about the things that the crazy people on the right said this week because they say a lot of crazy things a week. And you shouldn't have to listen to all of them and go through them and find the stupidest things that they say. That's my job. That's why I'm here for you to do that. So all you have to do is listen to this, and so you don't have to listen to all of that. We have some good ones. We have Wayne Allen Root telling you not to date Democratic women. And there's a very specific reason why, and we'll get to that. We have Lance Walnew with a war prayer, which just sounds like so perfect together, right? War and prayer. It's just really the way our religion works these days, war and prayer. That's how it works. Jim Baker saying that Donald Trump is doing heaven's work, which is scary as freaking hell. David Whitney. And, of course, Jim Baker again, and they're going to talk about the attack in Manchester and how it wasn't the fault of the terrorists, it was the fault of the people who went to the show. You know, teenage girls. You know, they're causing all the problems in the world. Teenage girls. I'll give you that they give us crappy pop stars that I'm going to have to listen to for the rest of my life, but that's really the only thing we can blame teenage girls for. Wouldn't you agree that the only thing we can really blame them for is just having bad taste in music sometimes? I'm not saying that about Ariana Grande. I'm talking about some other people that I've had to listen to in my life because 16-year-old girls or 14-year-old girls decided it was okay, but I think that's where it stops. We'll get to it. We're going to start, as we're live on Facebook, and we're going to do a little bit about the Comey stuff today because if you watched any of the hearings, and forget about John McCain, we're not going to talk about John McCain's sort of weird, almost performance art, maybe? Was he doing like a Joaquin Phoenix thing? I'm not really sure. Apparently, he was up late watching the Diamondbacks game, which is a weird thing. But I want to talk about it from this perspective. If you go to the Washington Post, they did a really amazing thing yesterday where they tracked CNN, MSNBC, and Fox, and they tracked them throughout the hearings, doing like the bullet points that they throw up on the screen during the hearings to sort of get you caught up if you just tuned in, some of like the PowerPoints. And if you go look at it, you'll literally see the partisanship that exists in our news. And so some people you think, oh, they're reporting it right, but are they reporting it right? Let's be fair. We learned essentially nothing yesterday. We learned that the president sort of wink, wink, nudge, nudge said stop doing the thing, but is that really obstruction? I think it is. I think if the president says, maybe you shouldn't, maybe tamp this down a little bit, I'm not saying stop. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying stop. Look, we can lawyer this crap all day long if you want to, okay? It'll make your head explode, the nonsense and malarkey that they will say and do. And, when Clinton was up for the impeachment or when he was testifying and he says the word is, and it's just like you want to punch yourself in the face until they stop talking. So we can lawyer this to death. We learned a couple things that were interesting. One, that James Comey apparently has no problem referring to our president as a out-and-out liar. Okay? That might be the biggest thing we learned, was that he literally has no problem going, our president's a liar. And that should scare you a little bit, don't you think? I mean, this is the guy who was the head of the FBI until he was fired for continuing an investigation that Trump wanted him to stop. Trump has admitted to that. The reason he was fired, Trump said in an interview, was because of the Russia investigation. Trump was never under personal investigation, just basically everybody around him. We learned that Loretta Lynch and people, and this is again how the game of telephone of news exists, and so the 24 hours, and this person hears it this way and this person hears it this way. They're saying that President Trump is vindicated now of saying to Comey to basically not do it because Loretta Lynch told James Comey to refer to the Clinton investigation as a matter, not an investigation. If you didn't follow that, it's okay. It makes no freaking sense. Here's what it is. Loretta Lynch told James Comey, look, I want you to refer to this as a matter when you talk to the press, not an investigation. That is not telling him not to investigate Clinton's emails. That is telling him, I want you to use this word because it sounds less horrible during a campaign than this word. Should she have done that? Probably not. Is that obstruction? No, it is not. She did not say, I don't want you to investigate Clinton. She says, I want you to call it a matter, not an investigation. Okay? Now, if you think that's the same thing as what Trump did with Comey, well, then you are looking through a specific lens because they're not the same thing. And I'm not even saying that I think it's obstruction. Me, personally, I do. Okay? Because I think when the president nonchalantly tells you to stop doing something, he's telling you to stop doing something. And having everybody leave the room, okay? It's like, okay, I'll do a sports thing, right? Because we all like sports. It's fun. It's like Deflategate, right? We all believe Tom Brady was involved in Deflategate. Well, everybody but Patriot fans believe Tom Brady was involved in Deflategate, and mostly because he destroyed his cell phone. Why would you destroy your cell phone? Before you know you're going to talk to people who want to look at your cell phone, you destroyed your cell phone. Why would you send everybody out of the room if what you were doing was above the level? I mean, and Comey said that out loud. He said those words. That's the part that makes me think it's obstruction. That right there. Because if he wasn't obstructing, if Trump didn't think he was doing anything wrong, he wouldn't have had people leave the room. But he had people leave the room so they could have plausible deniability. I have no idea what they said. Instead of, I don't think he said this, but he might have said this. But here's the best thing we learned the other day. And this is yesterday. And this is important. This is very important because Trump, when he in the interview, when he said that he fired Comey because the Russia story was fake news. And this is what Comey had to say about that. It's very quick.
The Russians interfered in our election during the 2016 cycle. That happened. That's about as unfake as you can possibly get.
About as unfake as you can possibly get, that Russia interfered in our election. Where is the outrage about this? Seriously. You're telling me that you, as Republicans, and forget about Trump and his cronies, because we feel like they're involved in this somehow, but we just don't know how yet, right? It's sort of like we know it's coming, but we don't know where it's coming from, okay? Where are base Republicans about this? You're okay? You're okay with a foreign government interfering in our elections? Are you only okay with it because you won, or are you actually just okay with it in general? Because does that mean like I can get Great Britain hackers to interfere next time and hopefully Democrats win and then you'll be pissed off about it? Is that what's going to happen now? So those three things are the biggest things. You can't tell me I can understand there is an argument against obstruction because of the way Comey said it. I don't think there is, because he asked people to leave the room. That to me is that's got to mean something. It has to. I'm not saying it does. I'm saying I think it should. The truly hysterical part about this whole thing, the greatest moment of this entire thing, though, was what Paul Ryan said afterwards. Paul Ryan said the words, "No, I don't think we would, actually. I don't think that's the case at all." That was Paul Ryan in answering the question, would the Republicans impeach a Democrat if he was under the same situation as Donald Trump? That's worth this. Indeed. Are you nuts? They looked for every reason, every plausible reason to impeach Obama, and they couldn't find a thing. And I think ultimately that's what pisses them off the most about this whole thing, is that Trump was in office like a minute. He was in office like 30 seconds, and there was investigations and FBIs, and people are talking about impeachment, people talking about obstruction, and people are talking about collusion with Russia. And for 8 years, they crawled up Obama's ass and couldn't find anything. Nothing. No, think about that for a second. They couldn't find anything. They couldn't even pin Benghazi on him. And it makes him so angry. It does. And so Paul Ryan says, no, guys. We would. So here you go, Democratic nominees. You can now collude with a foreign government to interfere in our elections, and the Republicans won't impeach you. And you have proof right there, because they always back what they say years and years ago. And then, because he's not done. The Paul Ryan Comedy Hour continues. The president's new at this. He's new to government, so he probably wasn't steeped in the long-running protocols that established a relationship between the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the White House. He's just new to this. So does that mean because I'm not a politician, I can obstruct justice at will because I don't know what it means because I'm not a politician? You're telling me that Donald Trump, who is the head of a he still is the head of a corporation, doesn't know what obstruction of justice is? The man's been in more courtrooms than probably judges in his life. We have made this to the point now wherein the people who voted for Trump can't see it. And they keep fluffing it off as, oh, he's new to this. He's an outsider. He doesn't understand how this works. He doesn't know what he's doing. Guess what, guys? That is bad. That is a bad president. Not knowing what you're doing just because you're unfamiliar with the way protocol is, that you think that sending, okay, ask yourself this question, all right? Let me just okay. If you were president of the United States in that moment, when you sent Sessions and Kushner out of the room, okay, and you knew what you were going to talk to Comey about, would you know that you were sort of doing something you probably shouldn't be doing? Of course you would. Because you have a conscience and you understand how these things work. You understand that as the president of the United States, you hold a tremendous amount of power and influence, especially over the FBI, because you run the FBI, essentially. Yeah, you're not the director, but you tell the director what the frick to do. And if you tell the director, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, stop the investigation, Mike Flynn's a good guy, yada, 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 they would consider it or look at it as you telling them to stop the investigation. Why wouldn't they? So if you need to be new to government to understand the simplest of things, being right or wrong, well, then you can't be president. You can't. Now, he shouldn't be president. We all know that. But them doing this, they are basically telling you that it is okay that he tried to obstruct an investigation into one of his people because he didn't know better. That's what Paul Ryan's telling you. And it's okay that he didn't know better. He'll learn. He won't do it next time. Okay. And that's it. We're just supposed to do it. That's it. As I always say, it's like a fortune cookie when you do in bed. What if Obama had done it? Heads would explode. There'd be Republican brain everywhere. It'd be unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anyway, that's it for our live Facebook segment. You can go to Spreaker.com, The Matt Show, and then search the Batshit Crazy Pants Super Show, and you can listen live to the rest of the show if you'd like. We still got our repealing Dodd-Frank and all the craziest crap from the right this week. Thank you so much for watching on Facebook. We'll continue on Spreaker. Have a lovely. So, as we continue, we're going to talk a little Dodd-Frank, as it were, because in the broad light of day, while we were, discussing things like national security, which apparently Republicans don't necessarily care about, and the using of presidential power to stop investigations, the House Republicans decided, and this is so typical House Republican, it's almost comical, that they decided that now is the time to repeal Dodd-Frank. Right? Listen, this is brilliant political maneuvering, absolutely. And if they didn't do it this way, they would have been almost stupid, to be completely honest with you. So, because we know that regulations don't hurt big business, they don't hurt job growth, and they don't hurt the stock market, because all of those things have gone up since Dodd-Frank has been made law, since it was law. Right? Under Obama, we had job growth almost every month. It's not going to be 8 years of constant job growth. There were a few, but it was definitely over 75%. And I think that's what you would all want. We had the largest gains in the stock market. People talk about the stock market under Trump. Look at it under Obama, man. Compared to what 2008 to when he left office, it's skyrockets. Okay? So we know, because we have actual data in front of us, that actual having regulation that is semi-strict on big banks and big companies doesn't hurt job growth or companies making money. And in fact, makes it so that they can't screw us over when they do. The idea that companies can now police themselves is comical. It's hysterically comical that the idea that the people who run these companies now are all of a sudden going to have learned from what they did years ago, when there's no regulation and there's no sort of thing in the bill that says you're not getting money if you screw up. Now, what are they taking out? Well, of course, guys, they're taking out the things that screw you. This is what I'll never understand about anybody who doesn't make a lot of money who votes Republican. Everything they do, they screw it to you. You know it's true. Sorry, I won't continue that. It's a terrible impersonation. I apologize. I do. I really do.
Hail Trump!
Indeed. So, here we go. They're taking out anything having to do with the Vockler rule. And what does that do? Well, that prevents government-issued insured banks from making risky bets with investments. Because that's a good idea, right? Government-insured banks, which means we insure that money. That's our money. We insure it. your tax dollars. If that bank shits the bed and we're on the hook for it, guess who's going to pay for it? We are. But go ahead and make those risky bets, guys. It's like Monopoly. Who gives a crap? It's only taxpayer money. You guys don't pay taxes. It also scraps requirements which were set to go into effect that retirement advisors put their clients' interests ahead of their own. I'm going to say that again so you can listen to it and understand that the person who is responsible for your retirement fund, the money that you work your whole life so that at the end you can have some free time to do the stuff you didn't get to do while you are working so you can then retire, that person is not required to put your interest ahead of his. So if he feels like he's going to make a good deal on something that may ultimately screw you in the end, he's going to do it, or she's going to do it. Should be no gender neutrality there. Let's do it. Again, screwing you. Not them. Not them. Because I guarantee you, their investment guy is going to look out for them. It also, really what it does is what this is all thing has all been designed to do, which is get rid of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is, it's there to regulate large banks and payday lenders. Because, you know, payday lenders, go Google the John Oliver thing on payday lenders. And after you watch it, tell me that you didn't want to punch somebody in the face. Okay? Now, the clown responsible for this is Jeb Hensarling, a Republican from Texas. He's on the House Financial Services Committee, Chairman. I don't know this. I would assume Jeb is an oil man. This is what he had to say. To think in a democracy that one unelected individual can functionally decide what credit cards go into our wallets, what mortgages we can have on our home, whether or not we even have a checking account. I mean, that's just anathema to me, to the founding principles of this republic. Except he's wrong because that's not what that did, okay? That's not what the Consumer Protection Bureau did. See, it made it so that big banks and payday lenders couldn't take advantage of you, okay? They made it so that those companies couldn't have ludicrous mortgages that were going to end up screwing the housing bubble that was then going to pop, and that people were then going to lose their houses because they couldn't afford the mortgage, but they did some workaround so they could afford the mortgage that they could never afford. They don't decide what credit card goes in your wallet. They're there so that when the credit card company decides they want to raise your interest rate just for shits and giggles, that they can't do that because that Credit Protection Bureau is there to stop them from doing that. See, classic Republican, they attack from a point of weakness. They all know that this is good for the consumer. They just say that it's not. And when you say something's not enough, people will believe it. You'll hear applause lines for these sorts of things because they believe it. And that's the thing that scares you. Was Dodd-Frank perfect? No, not even close. It was actually pretty toothless, actually. And of course, they're cutting the only 3-tooth things that had any that would have had any effect for us anyway. But that's because they don't care about you. The sooner that you people learn that Republican people in government don't care about you unless you are white, rich, and Christian, the sooner we can move the frick on in this country and be better at being a country. Just saying. So, brilliant political move, repeal Dodd-Frank, hurt the consumer, hurt regular people who will end up in massive debt with payday loans and large banks, will end up probably screwing the housing bubble again because we're going to get basically the Wild Wild West when it comes to these sorts of things. And they're going to do all this nonsense where they take debt and trade debt and all this crap that nobody understands, but they somehow make billions off it while we get screwed. That's all going to happen again. It's all going to happen again. It's all going to happen again. Because if you think that the banks, if you think that the banks are going to regulate themselves and not take every single avenue offered to them to make money, whether that is going to then end up screwing the economy later, they don't care because they will still have their money and they will get bailed out. And the only people who get hurt are people like you and me.
It's time for the Batshit. Hail Trump.
It means that what the Jews have, we have.
The worst. Crazy pants.
Perpetual war, corruption, and pedophilia party.
Help, help, I'm being repressed.
For some reason, homosexuality has become the issue for the left. It's satanic.
Brain games is now over.
Thing of the day. All right. So, we're starting this a little earlier than usual because on Friday we like to have fun in the second half hour because it's usually a crappy week. And I wouldn't say this is fun, but it's fun in the funny boo-hoo sort of way, but that's sort of where we are at this point, right? Nothing's really ever funny, ha-ha. Everything's funny. Oh, God, did they really say that? Oh, God, somebody freaking shoot me in the face. And where we're going to start is our good friend and buddy, Wayne Allen Root. You know Wayne Allen. I like to call him Mini Trump. He wants to be Donald Trump so bad that just go Google a picture of, not if you're driving, when you stop driving, Google a picture of Wayne Allen Root and just look at him. And when you hear him talk, you're going to think Sylvester the Cat. And when you think Sylvester the Cat and then you look at him, it's even funnier. So here's Wayne Allen Root on why, oh why, you should never marry or date a liberal woman.
Find me a woman who's a feminist and a liberal and likes cats, and I will find you someone who ought to be in an insane asylum every single time. Hey, guys, if any of you out there are single and you ever meet a woman who admits to being a liberal and hating Trump, and when you get to her house, she's got cats, run for your life.
Yes, because God forbid we want somebody who thinks for themselves and has an opinion and might be strong-willed and able to understand when they're being sort of tamped down. And God forbid we want somebody who argues with us and demands to be treated equally. How dare we? Those women are crazy. You want a woman who's just going to do whatever you tell her to do, who's just going to be whatever you want her to be, and who's just going to follow whatever you say, no matter how batshit crazy insane it is. And that's what they look for. That's what the weak-minded look for. Weak-minded look for a weak-minded. The one thinks they're strong-minded, but they're not. Because a strong-minded person would like a strong-willed woman who will test their resolve on things. That's at least what I want. I don't want somebody who's like, oh, let's do whatever you want to do all the time. No, Do I want to do what I want to do all the time? Yes. But let's talk about it. Do you agree with me on everything? No. Good. If you agree with me on everything, it means we're probably not going to get along too well. Because it usually means you don't necessarily have a thought of your own in that particular sense. But that's what Wayne Allen wants. Wayne Allen wants the Stepford wife.
Run, run, run. Like those ads in Britain. Run and hide and tell other men to run and hide. A liberal woman with cats. No man could ever live with a liberal woman with cats. She'll cut your pee-pee off, I promise you. Liberals are mentally unstable and mentally insane. They're unhinged.
Liberals are mentally unstable and mentally insane. They're unhinged. Totally unhinged. Liberals.
No man could ever live with a liberal woman with cats. She'll cut your pee-pee off, I promise you.
No man could ever live with a liberal woman with cats. She'll cut your pee-pee off. Pee-pee? Are you serious? You're a grown-ass man. Just say penis. It's okay. It's an okay word to say. Grown-ups say the word penis. It's okay. It's okay. Be a grown-up. Mini Donald Trump. But Wayne, here's the thing. They won't cut your pee-pee off. They actually usually know what to do with it, those liberal women with cats. They usually know pretty well what to do with it, and I thank them for that. But to be honest with you, Wayne, I don't think you'll ever have that problem because a liberal woman with cats would look at you and laugh if you tried to pick her up. Would laugh right at you because she's smarter than you and she knows it. And that's why it would be funny to watch. Oh, Wayne's one of my favorites. He's truly, truly a ludicrous human being. Now we're going to get to Lance Walnew, okay? And we all like Lance. Lance is a crazy person. Lance is, what would we call Lance? I mean, like, does he actually have a church? Anyway, he's a preacher. I don't know where he preaches. He calls himself a preacher. Now, this is Lance. Lance is a little crazy. I might let this run a little bit. This is what he did. He posted this the other day. It was June 8th, I believe, that he posted it. It was the 7th at night on his Facebook page, which I'm sure is just filled with just a lot of people loving and giving and helping the poor and the sick and the less fortunate. It just seems like that's the type of Facebook page that Lance Walnew would have. This is his warfare prayer for Donald Trump.
I thank you, Lord. I'm not ashamed of what you're doing in America right now. I thank you that you confirm the words of your servants. I prophesy again, this man is a Cyrus, and I believe you perform the counsel of your hidden messengers. In Jesus' name, I thank you, Lord, that right now you're frustrating the predictions of diviners. You're driving them crazy because Trump keeps eluding the net. And I pray, even as you've done with Bill Maher, and you've done with Kathy Griffin, and you've done with Steve Colbert, I pray that the pit that they've dug, they fall into themselves. I pray that their words that they have spoken even turn back upon them, and that you will cause everyone who dishonors the office of the president, who disrespects the authority of this government, who mocks the president, who is in effect mocking you, Lord, I pray now that you are going to turn upon those that are ministering a spirit of strife and contention and dishonor and disrespect and sowing rebellion and witchcraft in the nation. I pray that you cast them out of their position.
Cast them out. Here we go.
So that's our prayers tonight for Donald Trump. God, you called him, you put him in, and you frustrate the tokens of liars. You drive diviners mad. Those people that are falsely prophesying impeachment, falsely prophesying the destruction of this administration. It's time that stopped.
Yes! It's time it stopped. Let me tell you something, folks. I'm an atheist. If you don't know that about me, I'm an atheist. But I don't hate religion. Religion has worked very well for some of my friends in times of need when they were lost or whatever. It just didn't work for me that way, okay? I don't hate religion. I hate radical religion. I think any free-thinking person would. My problem here is this. They have painted it now. We are in biblical terms, right, with these people. And that's how they live their life. But they think that God is intervening. And again, I keep going back to this. God granted us free will. They, in fact, say that a lot. God granted us free will. Well, if God granted us free will, then he can't be controlling these things. He can't have made Donald Trump president. He can't be putting words in Donald Trump's mouth because that would go against free will, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be going against free will if God was intervening? See, the idea is that God granted free will and he has no control over what's going on the planet, which is the reason why it's a complete fucking nuthouse. Okay? But the talk of impeachment, the talk of anything negative towards Donald Trump because he is the disciple of God. He was sent here by God. So you can't say anything negative about him whatsoever is a dangerous road to go on to make this person a messiah, so to speak. Forget about the fact that it's Donald Trump and how laughable that notion is. It's the idea that anybody we would put in our presidency would be a messiah of any type other than just a person who ran for president. But he goes on.
And there was a reverse of the curse. Lord,
the curse, if you don't know what the curse is Barack Obama, right? The reverse of the curse is the Democrats were in office and now they're not. That's the reverse of the curse. Democrats are evil, Satan-worshiping, demon-loving, gay-loving, horrible killers. Christians are good, God-fearing people who only do what God wants as long as you're white and Christian.
Lord, you bless this country now. Let the blessing overtake the curse and demolish it. Let a deliverance anointing start to roll down in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Deliver me.
Yeah.
Deliver us.
Woo!
From evil.
Hamala, hamala, hamala.
All right, people, share this, like this, share this, like this, share this, like this, because I want to see prayer. This warfare prayer going up 24 hours tomorrow.
Yes. Send me money.
Prayed up.
Send me money.
And this is the disposition. Joyful, confident. And when you're nervous and worried about the president of America, go on the offense.
Yes.
Don't pray for peace. Hit that demon.
Yes.
Bam, in Jesus' name.
Not peace. Don't pray for peace. Peace is for whips. Hit it right in the face. Punch that demon. And here's the problem with that. Because he'll say he's speaking metaphorically. The idiots that listen to his show might actually think that he's saying punch Democrats in the face when they disagree with you about Trump, even though they might have facts and facts and facts to back it up. You always have the idea that you believe in a guy in the sky who controls your life.
We bless Donald Trump. Peace tonight.
Yeah.
Good report tomorrow. Ooh. Laughter and joy in his house.
Yeah, baby Lord.
And Jared and his whole house, bring them in, sweep them into the counsel of the Lord, and raise up anointed voices around them that have such truth and such confidence that they feel better in their presence, and gradually and progressively let the kingdom of God swallow up the kingdom of darkness around this administration.
Yes. Kingdom of darkness surrounding this administration. Not the administration itself, the people investigating the administration. Because again, he is above reproach. Okay? Just so you understand, President Trump is beyond reproach. He is sent here by God, and he can do no wrong. So you investigating him is ludicrous. And anybody who is going to go against them, you should punch them in the face. And that, my friends, is Lance Walnew.
And that you will cause everyone who dishonors the office of the president, who disrespects the authority of this government, who mocks the president.
Do me a favor. And you know, if you're listening to this, the idea of that statement is hysterical, right? Because the idea so I'm gonna tell you why they say stuff like this. They say don't disrespect the office, blah blah blah. When we all know how they treated Obama for 8 years, like we all saw it. Okay, it was awful how they mistreated Michelle, how they treated the girls. It was bad. Okay, monkeys and all sorts of different stuff. But the thing is that Obama wasn't sent by God. So it's okay. Because he wasn't sent by God. It's okay to disrespect the office because he was black. He wasn't like us. He's not a Christian. He's a Muslim. He's Barack Hussein Obama. There's no way he's a Christian. So you can explain anything away if you want to. We all know the truth, Lance. You're a bigot. And you think Trump was sent here by God. Let me tell you something, Lance. I got to be honest with you. If you pray to a God that sent Donald Trump to be the president of the United States, that God is either a dick or the funniest fucking God in the history of gods. It's really that simple. And now, our good friend Jim Baker and Mary Colbert and Mark Taylor. The devil's threesome, as I like to call them, because they're horrible people too. See, they want to tell you that God, again, and this is what we're talking about. Now, keep in mind, while you're listening to this, while you're listening to them talk about how God has put Trump here, they have an ad constantly running on the show where you can buy something for $30. It's the Trump Prophecies Book Bundle. If you want to call, the number is 1-888-988-1588, or www.jimbakershow.com. And you too can be taken advantage of by an evangelical. Let's get started. If you don't know, okay, Mary Colbert's the woman.
Since the minute he was elected, the stock market has gone up and up and up. And look what the headline right now, I wrote it down on my paper here. Stocks continue record climb. That's the headline as I'm walking on this show right now. So the prophecy is coming true.
Okay, the prophecy is coming true. The funny part about that is that I guarantee you everybody in that audience is not rich, and they're all cheering for the stock market doing well. Now, it's been doing well since Obama took office, okay? Go just look at the numbers. This isn't me. This is the stock market will tell you that, okay? Continuing its record climb. You think that record climb started in January? No, that record climb started 8 years ago, and it's been climbing ever since. So, again, you could take credit for it, but you would, of course, be wrong.
Absolutely. To the details, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And
I think right now, Jim, what's going on within the church with all this talk of impeachment and what they're trying to do to him, Mark and I both are getting bombarded with people emailing and calling going, well, what's going to happen? What's going on? What do you think? What do you think? Well, let me just tell you what I think. You just watched the Red Sea part. And to think that, you know, this is what the Lord literally showed me. It's like the church behaves just like the Israelis did. God parted the Red Sea, and you get to the other side, and you start going, oh, Lord, are we going to be destroyed? He's put us in the desert to kill us. What's going to happen? I'm going to tell you something what's going to happen. You're going to watch the waves crash in on your enemies. I'm telling you.
Okay, so first of all, God showed her, okay, which is awesome, okay? Now, I don't know where, like, how do you do that, okay? Do you have to pray like a super amount a lot to meet up with God? Do you have to just sort of be like a disciple? I understand the believing is part of it, so it'll never happen to me, but I'm wondering, like, because my friend is really religious and he's a very nice person, and as far as I know, he's never spoken to God. God has never actually physically shown up and spoke to him. But again, we're talking about violence, right? The waves crashing around your enemies, okay? That's not a happy thing. That's not a peaceful thing. That's her telling you that when it's all said and done, that your enemies will be destroyed and killed.
To watch the waves crash in on your enemies. I'm telling you. The best is yet to come.
Amen.
This man's not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
What is God telling you about Trump right now?
President Trump.
Basically,
President Trump. Trump.
He's on track. And that's what most Christians don't understand. Even Christians are still fighting what this man's doing, and they don't understand. This is not Trump's agenda. This is heaven's agenda that's being implemented through...
Yeah. Just so you know, everybody, heaven's agenda is taking medical assistance away from poor people and old people. Okay? Heaven's agenda is making it so that corporations can steal money from you, the rich can steal money from you, basically in any way possible, and there's no laws to prevent them from doing any of it. Okay? God's plan is to take away your Social Security, so when you're old, you have to keep working because, well, we privatize Social Security, and then since government-funded banks don't have to do anything as far as they can invest in whatever they want, all that money is now gone, and you have to be 80 years old working somewhere to make ends meet. That's God's plan. Just so God's plan is to rain fire down on anybody who's not a Christian. Apparently God's plan as well. Guys, God's plan is pretty fucked up if you ask me, okay? Wouldn't God's plan be more like everybody gets health insurance? We stop killing people in the name of God. Don't you think that would be when you retire, you will be fully taken care of and be allowed to live as wonderfully as you'd like? Isn't that more on God's plan? But God's plan is weird because it always seems to favor the rich and the well-to-do. And this guy became rich by pumping God. And there you go.
Donald Trump.
People, you don't get it. It's because he doesn't have the exterior of a pope or a saint or something,
Right. We've just got a bunch of Pharisees. That's the bottom line. They just can't see what God's doing.
Yes, Pharisees. They will crucify him. That's what it is. He's Jesus Christ. Do you understand when he just said They're the Pharisees. He's basically making an analogy that makes Trump Jesus Christ. That's spectacular. You see how insane that is? It's insane. But that's where we are, right? Religion, and we found out that religion is now costing us about $70 billion a year in taxes, but we'll forget about that for the moment. Religion has picked a side, right? If you are on the side of the religion, then you're a Republican. And everybody else is a demon. Everybody else is an enemy. Everybody else is against you. See how it starts or how it continues every day? Every day. But we move on to an even crazier thing, if you can friggin' believe it. This is David Whitney. Now, David Whitney is I want to say he's also a preacher of some sort. They seem like they always are. A Maryland-based institute on the Constitution. Yeah, okay. Listen to the guy talk. He's never read the Constitution in his life, but that's beyond the point. So David Whitney talks about, this is about the Manchester attacks at the Ariana Grande concert, okay? And he's free about his ignorance, okay? But that doesn't stop him from using the Google box to increase his ignorance. I'll let David tell you.
I've never heard of this pop singer, so I kind of did a little research on who she was and what she was about. And looking into her, everything she stands for is quite eye-opening. She's an advocate, an open advocate for sodomy. She frequently speaks of her interaction with demons. That's right, demons. And
okay, so open to sodomy means that she is pro-equal rights for gay people. She might have a gay I don't know anything about Ariana Grande, okay? I just know that nobody who goes to her concert should be bombed, even though I don't like her music. That's not the point. She's for gay rights. She's for equality. She's for what Jesus said, which is treat everybody the same. You know.
She was raised actually in a Christian household, but now clearly rejects everything that Christianity stands for, and she states that she did so for a particular reason.
Smart girl.
Because her brother is a sodomite.
He's gay.
So Christianity, she threw out lock, stock, and barrel for that reason.
Okay, so that's the best part. So you know where this guy is, right? He's way out there on the batshit crazy point pier, okay? He's way. He's past Funtown Pier, okay? He's to the part of Seaside Heights nobody ever walks to on the boardwalk. That's how far over he is. Because they're not just gay anymore. They're sodomites. And she defends sodomites.
She's embraced not only sodomy, but a satanic cult religion, or I shouldn't say religion, belief system that is called Kabbalah. It's a Jewish occult belief system that is the opposite, in a sense, of our Christian faith.
Isn't religion a belief system? How are the two separate? It doesn't make any sense to me how you tried to parse that, but he tried and he was unsuccessful.
It appears this Ariana is like the Pied Piper of Hamlin, leading a whole generation of young people, and indeed some very young people, to a very dangerous place, indeed a dangerous woman leading them down this dangerous road. Now, what's not surprising, however, is that she is wildly successful, famous, and rich. Because people who make a pact with the devil and sell themselves to Satan, he often rewards them with riches and fame and power.
Well, how do you explain Trump then? How do you explain people like that? You think those people are given money by God to do good things, while she, who's entertaining teenage girls who are out for a night maybe with their mother or some other friends or whatever, or their father, whoever, they deserve to die because she was entertaining teenage girls. Good. Okay, that's a super awesome parallel, dude.
Same with the other Pop-Tarts that we've seen over time, people like Madonna and, Spears and so on. They've all traveled this same road. And it's the road of destruction, the road of hell. And it wouldn't be so tragic if just they were on this road. It's tragic for them. but it's all the young people they are leading down this same road of destruction. This dangerous woman is promoting every form of immorality, and indeed she is promoting Satanism by her music and by her lyrics and by her gyrations and so forth. So while we can measure very accurately the damage that the suicide bomber accomplished, we can count the body bags, we can read the list of those in the hospital recovering from their injuries that the suicide bomber caused, it is far more difficult to measure the damage done by this dangerous woman. Exactly how many souls has she led down the path of destruction?
Okay, the answer to that question is very simple, okay? The answer is none, because what you're saying is ludicrous. You're saying that the Ariana Grande concert itself caused more damage than the actual bombing did because of her music that she sang to teenage girls? Now, the thing I don't know, and I would love to talk to David Whitney and just have a debate with him and just watch him cry, is that does he know it's called the Dangerous Woman Tour, or does he not know and just he's almost like publicizing it as he's saying it? I think he probably knows that, and so that's why he keeps calling her a dangerous woman. But let me say this, okay? Music can be hateful, it can be dangerous, it can be bad. There is, and I don't mean bad like in bad like you think it's terrible, I mean in bad taste. There's plenty of that, and it comes in all walks and it comes in all shapes and sizes. What she is singing about, I don't think could be construed that way, because she's not really singing about anything, relationships maybe, that sort of thing. So to single her out and her group out because they got attacked, calling it basically they put it on themselves, or in this case, he's literally saying that the Ariana Grande concert itself caused more harm in the long run than the terrorist bombing. Listen.
So while we can measure very accurately the damage that the suicide bomber accomplished, we can count the body bags, we can read the list of those in the hospital recovering from their injuries that the suicide bomber caused, it is far more difficult to measure the damage done by this dangerous woman. Exactly how many souls has she led down the path of destruction?
I'm going to say 0. Because I guarantee you, there were at least a few people there who categorized themselves as Christians and whose mothers were Christians and who allowed them to go to this concert. That's why. But to compare body count with souls that might be lost is soulless, to be honest with you. The hypocrisy is hysterical as usual with the soullessness. And it doesn't end because Jim Bakker's back. And we know Jim Bakker. Jim Bakker's fun. He's an idiot, right? We all hate Jim Bakker. Well, he decided he had to chime in on the Ariana Grande concert and the Manchester attack as well.
Nobody was smart aleck like the people of America are to our president.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's amazing he would even want to come home.
But I tell you what, it's time we teach some manners. It's time the school.
Yes. Yeah.
And these kids that walk out on our president and our vice president when he's speaking.
Exactly what Mondo was saying.
We're not even teaching decency.
Respect. Respect.
It's a sad day whenever.
Respect. One day I'm going to go back and I'm going to find all the terrible things you guys said about Barack Obama, and I'm going to play them for you because it's going to be funny. Because you only respect the office of the president when it's a old white guy in it. You only respect the office of the president when it's a guy you like in it. You only respect the office of the president when it suits you to respect the office of the president.
Our president's respected in a foreign country more than it is in his own country.
It really is.
And then what happened when he went to the Vatican, then he went to Brussels, and
today's in NATO.
Yeah, but when as he was on this part of the trip, what happened in England. What happened in Manchester, I believe it was.
Well, and it was while he was in Israel, and that's when that horrific, really, in my personal opinion, this took it to a new level, a new low, where most little girls
What was the name of that concert?
It was Dangerous Women.
Dangerous Women Concert.
Yeah, Dangerous Women Tour.
And if we could tell you what we know, and we don't have time today.
Yeah.
Of course.
We're going to take and talk about some
No
of those
time
things.
for facts.
They literally invited these kind of things to happen.
Absolutely.
You do not know almost cursed themselves with this concert. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what, God's not going to put up with mockery.
No.
Be not deceived. God is not mocked. God's not going to put up with mockery. They literally invited these kind of things to happen.
Absolutely.
You do not know almost cursed themselves with this concert.
Yep. 13-year-old girls invited themselves to die because they went to a concert of a pop star they like and probably don't even understand half what she's singing about anyway. But they brought it on themselves. They cursed themselves by being 16-year-old girls and listening to the music that 13-year-old girls listen to and wanting to go to a concert and sing and dance with their friends. They invited the terrorists to kill them. This isn't on the terrorists. No. See, if those girls had just stayed at home and stayed in their long dresses that covered their ankles and crossed their legs and learned how to sew and learned how to cook and they learned how to be good women, they wouldn't have brought that on themselves. They wouldn't have been killed by terrorists because terrorists wouldn't have wanted to kill them then. They brought it on themselves. These are Americans saying this. These are Christians saying this about other people who died in a gruesome death because they went to a concert that some radical idiot didn't like or didn't care about and just knew there'd be a good body count for. But let's be fair. When a white guy does it, the other people didn't invite it upon themselves. When something bad happens to Republicans, they didn't invite it upon themselves. When something bad happens, when Katrina happened, oh, that's gays and lesbians coming back to bite liberals. Okay, no Republicans died in Katrina. We need to stop. We need to stop having our religious leaders talk about politics. We need to stop. You either need to pay taxes, a lot of taxes, or you need to stop. Because you're not just making false equivalencies. You're justifying violence based on something that you might not agree with. You're justifying violence of teenage girls because you think the music they listen to invited other people to want to blow them up. It's time to stop, but it's not going to stop. It's never going to stop because religion rules. We're not a religious country. I'll say it again. We're not a religious country. It says right there, Congress shall make no laws. None. But we're at a very scary point right now because the internet has given voice to every one of these wackadoodles, and every one of them has 1 million followers or 500,000 followers or whatever. And they're there, and they're not going away. And they literally believe everything these people say because they think that these people are actually talking to God. They think that. And you can't fight that. You can't win against that. You can try and endure, and hopefully some people will turn, but it's a hard thing to do. And when you have actually people who look at the Manchester attack, and the first thing that they think is that the little girls who went to the concert brought this on themselves because they went to the concert and not blame the terrorists, well, all that does is normalize terrorism. It makes it seem like it's okay, and it makes it seem like the only people here to blame are the 13-year-old girls who just wanted to have a good time with their friends. That's it for the Batshit Crazy Pants Super Show this Friday. Hope everybody has a good weekend at the Matt Show 365. As always, Clint plays us out.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.